Hi, I'm Ekta here again with another story, and welcome to Spirit of Goyal. I'm at Goyal House again, and jaisa ki this whole series has been that I've got this beautiful opportunity to have conversations with such people who are responsible for such spaces that speak to us, that give us a lot of beautiful energy, that bring a lot which we feel. मैं अक्सर ये मानती हूँ कि जब जगहों पे जाते हैं जो फील करते हैं ना उस बेस पे हमारा वहाँ पे कितना रुकना है वो डिसाइड होता है हाउ डू वी फील एंड हमसे पहले कुछ ऐसे लोग हैं जो उन खाली जगहों पे वो क्या कहती है क्या बना सकती है क्या महसूस करवा सकती है ऐसा बहुत कुछ दे फील एंड आई थिंक दे आर द ब्रेन्स बिहाइंड ऑल सच थिंग्स क्योंकि हमारे लिए तो इमारतें होती है जगहें होती है खिड़कियाँ होती हैं लेकिन वो जो कहती हैं वो ये सुनते हैं वो ये बनाते हैं. So, presenting to you yet another brain, yet another soul, an artist at heart, and I'd like to say that a person who exactly knows how to build a bridge between communities and structures in buildings and how they respond. So, I have Apurva Amin. Hello, sir.
How are you?
Welcome and thank you so much for giving your precious time first.
Thank you so much.
I am doing very good and very happy, and like I said in the beginning that I'm here just to listen to you.
And there.
आपने शुरुआत में ही बताया that you wanted to be someone who just does a lot of art from your childhood because that is what you were always interested in. आपका
yes.
fascination वो था that मुझे पेंट करना है स्केच करना है
since I was a kid. Yeah.
Exactly. So then if that phase I talk about and then SEPT happening and everything and today Apurva Amin architect that whole thing, what is something which has not changed abhi tak?
I would say, my passion for art, I think that's a constant factor that has been kind of with me ever since I was a kid, ever since I was kind of drawn towards field of art as a kid, through my drawing teacher, painting, sketching. That was my kind of, I would say, idea of, if it's a career, you don't have a, you don't have a clarity about what you're going to do in future, when you're a kid. But I was sure that this is something I would like to do for the rest of my life.
And what age we're talking about this when you were
this
like clear?
This is primary, I would say, first, second standard, even before that. I have my relatives and, family friends telling me that we've seen you, all along we've seen you just, with a piece of paper and pencils, doing something, scribbling, sketching, like हम बैठे तो हमको sketch करेगा, plants, animals, objects. So that's the memory that they have of me, So I think it's ever since I was a kid, I was drawn towards, field of art. It was a passionate, I had already established that passionate relation with field of art back then.
And उस वक्त you were this clear that this is what I want to do, ये करना है.
Yeah, as I said, because of this obsessive
love for art.
Love for art, I happened to neglect all other, subjects academically. So academically, I would say I was very poor all throughout and barely managed to,
pass.
Clear, yeah. And the reason was that it was fit in my mind, I was too sure that मुझे यही करना है. All along, I was very clear that I would, as I told you, one of my drawing teacher, a simple man who used to come on a bicycle with a khadi kurta and pajama. He was my role model. So for quite some time, he was my role model, so I wanted to become a drawing teacher. And later on, as my ideas matured, I was exposed to, the art field, in a broad way. I was clear that I want to become a painter. That stayed with me all along.
That stayed.
And that is still there. The passion is still alive. And I try to pursue my passion, through architecture. And like we have a lot of artists, we kind of commission them artworks for our projects. And somehow I, try to design, architecture in a way that there is a space or a place for art, where art would become a very integral part of architecture and not just a kind of a painting put on the wall once the architecture is done. Artwork, installation or painting or sculpture would become a part of architecture, would become a very integral part of the space.
That's why I said bridge.
So that's the bridge you can.
That is why I said bridge,
yeah,
because that
yeah.
is what, when I look at like more than 2 decades of such creations, that was the only thing that came to me while I was reading about you, that there is this whole thing when he's sort of a bridge between communities, between the city developing and how the creations have happened. So that is what came to me, a bridge.
Right.
You agree
Right.
with that?
I mean, as I said, I never analyze my work. I cannot analyze, I cannot be analytical about my work. If you ask me to, explain my work or talk about it, I may not be able to kind of do justice to that. My expressions are purely sensorial, and but yeah, you can say so.
Which was a recent place that you visited and that that spoke to you or something, where you felt that this artwork is something which it did connect to you or something? It can be anywhere, in India or anywhere you traveled.
Lots, many.
Or recent ones that you want to talk about, anywhere you went.
Recently, we went to this Black Buck Lodge.
Ah,
So the way it has been, the way it interacts and has a very strong dialogue with the local landscape, the local terrain, and architecture just blends. So it really, if you ask me about the recent experience, then I think I would
You like
say
the
that
space there.
yeah. It's very warm, very soothing, and I think that's probably, I would say, it was amazing response to architecture.
how do you look at Ahmedabad, like currently how it is? And because you have seen it growing like more than 2 decades and how it has been, how do you look at this city? Like, where it is going now? If we talk about its the urban city development, if we talk about, how do you think it is doing? And
See, currently, if you speak, I would say that, after working in many other metros in many other states and cities, Bangalore, Pune, MP, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, I feel that Ahmedabad, the kind of infrastructure that we have, or that has been developed in Ahmedabad, architecture and infrastructure in general, and the way cities have developed, I think it's remarkable. It's very, very, it's less chaotic and more organized. So there's a vision and there's a, it's a collaboration of vision and right expressions. So somehow I will feel that coincidentally we are blessed. In Ahmedabad, I would say that we have this institute, SEPT,
Yeah.
which was founded in late 60s, I think, early 60s. Having SEPT around, has, I would say that it has given us great references, architectural references. Great masters like Corbusier and Louis Kahn, Charles Correa, Doshi sir. So they have worked here. We have work of, great masters in front of us, and that has been a great influence all along. So overall, in my opinion, the architectural awareness had been very high. It was lost in between, I would say, 80s and 90s, I would say. The city was a bit chaotic, the development was a bit chaotic and not organized. But post-earthquake, I would say that the city has, again, I would say, the development is back on track and it's more organized, more user friendly, and yeah, there's a great awareness of architecture.
That is why it has this whole title of Mecca of
Yeah.
architecture.
Yeah, it
That
is.
is the response from people
is.
and how they are inclined towards it.
It is, yes, absolutely.
We're definitely blessed that ways
We
to be
are.
a part of this city.
Yeah. I would consider myself fortunate to be born here. And for Ahmedabad, it's like, there's a kind of a comfort level that it offers, that
There's a
once you're in
pace.
yeah.
It
yeah,
has a pace, and
Yeah,
it's so beautiful. It's not very fast. It's not very mellow also, but
Exactly.
it has a perfect pace.
Absolutely.
You can have your
absolutely.
groove.
It's a very, very unique pulse that it has,
Yeah.
that, we all are so comfortable with that. I think whoever would live here for a couple of years would not want to live.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
I feel.
So apart from architecture,
Hmm.
let's talk about Apurva Amin as an artist. What do you do? Are you into music? Do you watch movies?
I love music.
Music?
I
What
love
music do you listen to?
See, if you love art, I mean, you
That's
love
what
any
I'm
form
talking
of
about all
art.
different art forms.
Like I don't play any instrument
Yeah.
or I don't, but I love music.
What music do you
But
listen to?
different genre. I
Like?
mean, like
What were you listening while you were coming
it
here?
ranges from Indian classical to Western classical and rock, and so it's a wide range. Again, if you love music, you would love any genre. You can't say that you like a
No, of course.
yeah.
But
So
like
you should
how
be able
does
to
your day begin?
appreciate any genre if you love music. So my parents, they are very fond of Indian classical music. So as a kid also, I have attended concerts of Bismillah Khan, Bade Ghulam Ali Khan, Begum Akhtar, Amjad Ali Khan, Allah Rakha. So, it was like the atmosphere in our house was very different, from a morning to evening something would be playing. My parents would invite their friends to listen to, old records of these great masters, through the night. So that has been my influence again. So that was my first, I would say, influence of music was Indian classical. But again, as I said, that as it grew, it expanded. The taste for music expanded, and I think I would appreciate any genre.
Apart from music, if we talk about like arts in different forms, where else do you express yourself? Do you write, or are you?
I don't write.
You don't write.
No.
Are you into
I mean,
poetry?
not a
or
formal
anything?
writing, but occasionally just I pen in few things that comes across.
Of course.
Don't write.
So is it like just a form of your expression that you just want to take some things out, or it is like?
That's architecture.
That's where
I
you
have not
express
been
yourself.
formally painting or sketching ever since I lost touch with, this field, art. But yes, one day I think I would like to, start painting again. That's a dream.
Thought that is happening currently.
No, it's not.
Oh.
No, it's not. It's just that if I come across a good artwork or a good
Something would just-
something, then it'll give me a goosebumps.
That's right.
So
So
I
then-
collect art. I keep in touch with artist fraternity. Keep attending exhibitions, and whenever we travel, I don't look out for famous architectural works. I always visit museums, art museums. So that is something that I look forward to when we travel abroad.
So is there something that you're waiting for to take the brush again and get back to that?
No, I don't plan. I've never planned my life.
Of course.
I've just drifted.
Going
I
with the
just
flow.
flow with. Yes, absolutely. So yes, it'll happen someday. There's a desire, so
There
it
is a
should
desire.
happen. It
Should
will happen.
Let's
Yeah, yeah,
manifest
yeah.
it.
I'm too busy right now. Too caught up with.
Too caught up with
lot
life?
Of, not life. Too caught up with work.
How's your regular day like? What does it involve?
Currently, quite laid back in the sense that I The early part of the day is like I take my own sweet time to have my coffee and, you know, do my gymming and meditate, and then hit the studio by 12:30. So, which used to be which wasn't the case, you know, probably 10 years back. And then, yes, 8, 9, 10, 11, you know, depending on the, you know, if I get engrossed with something, then, you know, we'll be working late nights, late hours.
When someone approaches you with a project, what is that you look for? Like, what is that brings out
I look for a
yes,
right client. Like, I'm very selective about the clientele. So,
but I'm sure
think
there
that
there must be something which, like, okay, no, this should be a tick mark, that this should make me feel, because you're an artist. There must
no,
be.
for that matter, like, you know, any work that is offered to you is a new challenge. That's how I see it. But for that to do justice to the given challenge, and, you know, in order to satisfy the designer within you, you need a right client. You know, that's the first prerequisite in my opinion. So, the client where, you know, you would be allowed, you know, generous design freedom.
Creative freedom.
Creative freedom, yeah. So that's very essential. Like, I cannot work with the people with a very hardcore commercial mindset. So they are not my clients. After that, if I have a good client, then yes, any project is, you know, is a challenge. It gives me a kick, and I try to kind of, you know.
Let's
do
talk
my
about
best.
the Goyal house itself.
Pardon?
Let's talk about the Goyal house itself.
They are one of the best clients. I mean, you can ask for
I
more.
want to know what was your favorite part in the process. Like, where was fun for you while the designing was happening, while the structure was being discussed?
Whole of it, you know, you cannot pinpoint a particular part of the process or the architecture in general. It's the whole experience, you know, the whole process is very, you know, exciting and, you know, interesting, you know, something that you, you know, live with for a long time.
So you're known for one thing, which is that you always see that how the functionality of people are there, how the people are responding, how much time they're going to be spending. So I'd love to, I'm sure people would love to understand and know that what is the exercise that you do
the preliminary, one of the preliminary objective of architecture. It's not a pure art. So, you know, it is, I mean, you know, to kind of do justice to the brief of the project. Every project has a brief, whether it's a house that you're designing or a, you know, corporate office like this or anything, hospital or a, you know, school or a club. It has a specific brief, right? Your design expression, along with your design expression, your individualistic expression as a designer, the brief is something that should govern the project. You can't kind of dismiss or rather compromise with the brief of the project, you know, the nature of the work, I would say. So yes, you know, functionality plays a key role. It's one of the most important design principles that architects should and must, I would say, you know, adhere to, keep in mind. And yes, so we do, I mean, you know, do a lot of analysis and derive at a brief that is kind of, you know, in sync with clients' requirements and try to do justice to that. And we don't compromise with the client's brief. So yes, you can say that functionality is one of the, you know, very preliminary design principles in our work. That is when, you know, if we ask, let's say if some clients, if they are approaching to design their villa or a house. And for me, their brief, their lifestyle, I would not be interested in mundane data like number of rooms they want or sizes of rooms they want. But I would, kind of through a dialogue and interaction, initial interactions, I would like to understand what is their lifestyle, what is their living pattern, what is their family structure, what are their social norms, how often they entertain, what is their religious background. So, that's very important for me. And that gives me the clue. That data will give me the clue what kind of a house I have to design for a particular family. So, if you follow that, you would be practically customizing a house for a particular family. Because when you say 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom villa, you can come up with n number of options. But the one that is, particularly, customized or suitable for a family, that family can for decades live without any, regrets or, any discomfort. That would be, I would see it as a success of architecture. Something that appeals aesthetically, but it fails to kind of fulfill these, tangible aspects of a family's lifestyle I would not see it as a success.
So much of observation, so much of research, so much of understanding that goes.
It's a psychological exercise, to understand a client. So
it's absolutely
that's very
off
essential.
the topic.
That's very essential.
But then there is a lot of mental involvement that is in everything. There is a lot of thought that
comes
goes
very,
naturally.
Yeah.
I think now it is easy for you to say
it is
because
like when
it's been a long time.
when for you, if the brief is very, such an important aspect of design, then it automatically, you have this, you try to dig out this, hidden data that client may not come with this data.
Of course, they
so
aren't
you have to
even
bring it
aware
out.
of such things.
Yes, so through
Correct.
dialogue, you can kind of.
While sitting here in this conversation itself, I got to know about so many such things that are in the minds of an architect while they are designing a space for me, whether it is for my work, whether it is for my house or something. As a layman, I wouldn't be aware that okay, this is something which might give me a good energy. Maybe
Right.
there is a good light, or maybe there is a good space. Like I said.
So, what you just said is so true that if the house is designed with keeping in mind all the basic principles of design, like climate, light, ventilation, cross ventilation, and you take care of the tangible aspects that I just mentioned, I think it's done. That is what we look for in a house. It has to be warm and a pleasant environment. So yes, choice of materials plays a great role in coming up with something that is very warm and habitable.
Lot of insight. As a student, and I'm sure from all the people who are going to be watching this entire interview or listening to this conversation, I'd like to say thank you for
Thank you
teaching
so
us that
much.
there is a lot of thought and heart that goes into creations.
Absolutely.
Lovely having you here. Thank you so much for giving your
Thank you.
precious time.
Thank you, Ekta. Thank you.